what's or predict what's going to happen in the future. Okay, so this topic and the next topic, okay, is in the uh, we call it the hype of the new technology today. Okay, which is big data, data mining thing. Okay, so what we learn here is going to be very basic, but is a good basic for something more difficult in the future. Okay. Okay. So what are the steps that we want to do for the forecasting? Alright, so everything deal with the numbers here. Okay. So first you have to make a decision. Okay. What are we trying to do here? Okay. So when we get a forecast, what are we going to do with it? Then you can select which items that you want to forecast. Okay. So like in 7-Eleven, okay, I might want to forecast how many hot dogs. Okay, I'm going to sell tomorrow, next week, next month. I can do that. Okay. Next, once you decide what item you want to forecast, you go collect the data, right? Then you have to get the data in according to time horizon. It can be daily, weekly, or monthly. Okay. And the rule is, okay, it's really rare that you do forecast daily, except weather forecast. Okay? When you see weather forecast, you want to know it every day. But in terms of demand and even stock price that you want to forecast, usually you don't do daily. Why? Because there's so much variation during each day. Okay? And it's so difficult to predict what's going to happen the next day. Okay? And the accuracy is very low. For example, let's think of another example. Let's say I'm a bank. Okay, let's say you're in the bank business. And banks, okay, bank has a lot of ATMs, right? And one of their core is they have to drive their security truck and deposit the money at each ATM so that you guys can withdraw. Okay, so a lot of banks they want to forecast the ATM usage. And it's very difficult to do it daily. Why? Because Monday to Friday you might have one pattern, another Saturday another pattern, beginning, ending of the month another pattern, holiday another pattern, the location, close to school, not close to school. There's so many things. Alright, so getting down to the daily number is going to be very difficult. Okay, so usually they're going to do it in terms of weekly. Okay, but in some location where the demand is very high, such as for example at the convention hall, for example at Queen Sirikit or at Moon Hall, they know that people want to come and shop. Then in that kind of situation, they will do it in daily planning because they have to basically deposit the money maybe twice a day because demand is so huge. Okay, so that's case by case basis. Okay, so forecasting is a very nice tool. Okay, but in general, when we do things, we want to do it weekly or monthly. Okay, to get a better accuracy. Okay, and before you even select which forecasting model you want to do, okay, you want to do this scatter plot first. You want to see what does the data look like. Okay, you want to see if there's which one is top next, if there's a trend, if there's a seasonal. Okay, what's going to happen with it? So you want to do the scatter plot. Okay, and then you can put together all the information, all right, to make that forecast. Okay, once you get the forecast, you have to validate the forecast model, which we're going to validate them by errors. All right. So basically, there's so many forecasting methods that you can use, and we can compare them by measuring their errors. Okay, and we're going to pick the best one that we think is most appropriate. Then we make a forecast, and then we implement it. Okay, so that's the plan. And forecasts occur in almost every business. Okay, when you want to forecast the demand, even in the government, they want to forecast. For example, in Bank of Thailand, they want to forecast what's going to happen with the GDP. Or recently, if you follow the news. The government also forecasts the population of Thailand in the next 20, 30 years. And you see that, you will see the demographic plot. In 5 years, about 5 years, the number of Thai population will start to drop. Okay? Because your generation do not want kids, right? And people get, even though they live longer, okay, but compared to the rate, then it's not going to happen. Okay, so we will find out what's going to happen. Okay, it's interesting to see if their forecast is correct or not. It's going to change things a lot. Okay, all right. Okay, and there's so many things to do. Okay, but keep in mind, forecasts are always going to be wrong. We are not God. Okay, we are not even the most geeky guy in the world, okay, or even the smartest guy in the world. You want to forecast something, they are always going to be wrong. But we try to minimize that error as much as we can. Okay, so that's a rule of thumb, right? So if you want to do the graduate study and you want to do forecast, that's possible also. But make sure you study what you want to do first. Okay, try to read the project from your previous students. Okay, and then it could be one of the projects. Okay, but of course you have to read more. Okay, the materials that I teach in this class is not going to be enough. Okay, there's more to it. Okay. Alright. So it means that if you ask the expert, oh, what is your favorite forecasting system that you think is better than the other, he might say, oh, it depends on the data pattern. Okay, and different organizations we use different techniques. Okay, different banks we use different techniques for their forecast, as I say, like ATM usage forecast, because they have many experts, and depending on the location, they might see it differently. Okay, but that forecast is important because the forecast will drive your production plan for any manufacturing. Okay, because so in the manufacturing, what if you are in the make to stock? Okay, you make to stock, you must have the forecast first. But if you make to order, you still need to forecast because in some of the some parts you might have to, the lead time may be so long that you cannot wait until the order arrives. Okay, you have to order something in advance. Okay. So basically, what I'm saying is, don't stick to one tool. You keep learning. There's so many tools that you can apply. Okay. All right. So when you want to talk forecasting, so before we even get into the technical part, you should understand this picture. Okay, it explains very well many ways, how many the number of ways that you can do forecasting. Okay. This one will be called subjective. Okay, which in this class we're not going to do that. Okay, we're not going to do subjective. All right. So everything is in terms of qualitative models. All right. So we see most of these things are based on people judgment. All right. So I'll explain about Delphi methods, theory of descriptive opinion, Salesforce composite, and market survey of it. Okay, but this does not require any technical equation. Okay, so it's very, very simple. Okay, but we talk about quantitative approach. Okay, there are basically two types. Okay, that we can study. First one we call time series. So whenever you hear this word time series, it represents the method that you only use historical data, nothing else. Okay, for example, stock price, you want to focus on just the historical data. We don't care about the earning. We don't care about how the board, okay, manage the company. We don't care at all. We only look at the historical data and then we use that information. Right. So we focus on these two methods: moving average and exponential smoothing. Okay. The other two I'll just briefly explain. Okay. So that's why I say based on historical data. Right. So to predict y, you only use x, and that x is historical data. So there's only one x. Okay. Why you use causal methods? Okay, so that's the name. You can do regression analysis. Alright. Which for regression analysis, usually you consider only one x, okay? But we consider many factors, many x, that will be called multiple regression. So you have to do forecast process. You have to ask yourself, are we going to do time series or are we going to do casual methods? Right. So for example, the GDP of Thailand, when they make a forecast, they don't only use one x. So as you learn in economics, right, they use many other things. They have their equation. Income, tax, import, export. Okay, those kind of things they use for the regression. Right, so that's a big picture. So the focus of this class will be on this quantitative. Right, so that's what we're going to do. Right, so this is the first one. So time series, we attempt to predict the future based on the past. Alright, so historical data only. Alright, so that's the term that we use, and that's what we're going to do today. Okay, we probably don't have time to do regression. But of this time series, we can use regression to help also. Okay, we talk about that later. We can use to do the trend projection. Okay, we can use that to help. Okay, to figure out the trend, and then we can use the trend as a part of our forecasting. Okay, but we're gonna talk about the simple method first. Okay, and for the casual models, okay, you use many variables. Right, use many variables or factors. Okay, so as I say, y going to be equal to something x1, something x2, and something x3. Right, and we're gonna use. Alright. We can look at the statistical relationship between those, okay, to make a forecast. Okay. And all these are based on statistics. So we have friends who in statistics, okay, they're gonna be able to explain this. Okay. And believe it or not, in the next 5 years, one of the hottest job, probably maybe not in Thailand, but in the world is the people who know statistics. Because now the trend is most companies want to hire data scientists, and data scientists require statistics, programming, and business logic. Right? So it's very hard to find that kind of people because you talk to, I don't have any friends in statistics, they're gonna look very nerdy, but you can't be nerdy because you have to talk to people who want something to do the business intelligence, that kind of thing. Right, so just watch in the 5 years, okay, that's the trend. Okay? And they pay a lot of money because it's a new kind of job that just come up. Okay? It's not like you want to be an engineer, okay? Engineer, there's so many engineers. Okay? But this not. Okay, because the knowledge is still very new. Okay, people just start applying this. Okay? So it will come first, we get lots of money first. Okay. Because I heard from my friend who hired the data scientist in US, who got a master degree. Okay, I think the starting salary is around 130,000 K US per year. So you can multiply 130,000 by 35. So that's probably around 4 million baht per year. That's for master degree. Okay. Consider we have to get that kind of money in Thailand, we have to be like a executive president thing or something to get that money. But in US, if you are a data scientist, you can earn that lots of money. Okay. Anyway, keep going. Alright. So I will explain about the qualitative models a little bit. Which is a judgmental and subjective factor. Okay, so we're not going to talk any numbers at all. Okay, it's going to be based on the step that we use to get the data. All right, so there are these 4 techniques. So let's visit each one briefly. Okay. All right. So first is called Delphi method. Okay, so this is what we call iterative group process. All right, so basically you have a group. And the group decide, hey, after we do the sit down dinner together, we talk about the sale for the next year. Then they come up with one forecast, right? And then this forecast we send it to the decision maker. I don't think you're correct. They might send it back to the group, and the group discuss it again and make a new forecast and go to the decision maker again. So until everyone is happy, then you stop. Right? So you can see you don't use any calculator at all. Right? So that's the first one. Second one is called dual executive opinion. Just think of this like when you are in court, right? In the not Thai system, but maybe in US or Europe system, you have the jury. Alright? So we collect the opinions of a small group of high-level managers. Okay? And then they probably maybe use the average or something. Right? So they use that to make the decision. Okay. For sales force composite, okay, basically is you ask, okay, maybe in Thailand we have northern part, northeast, southern part, central part, and you get the projected sale for the next year, and then just combine them together for the next year. Okay, so composite means you just add it all together. Right? Which is sometimes we call this as a bottom-up approach. So we ask the forecast from the bottom level first, and then we sum it up. Okay. Last one is called survey. Okay. So basically, you just hand out the survey, and then you anticipate the demand. Okay, regarding to your new product, for example. So you kind of get what's going to happen. If people's going to like it or not going to like it. So don't be surprised when you walk in the department store and then people hand in the new products to test. Okay, they just want to see people's reaction, and that will be part of the forecast. All right. Okay. Leave my pen at home somewhere. I have to go find it. Okay. So you have to use the one from last year. Alright? Okay. So let's look at before we get into the moving average, okay, let's look at how scatter plot works. Okay, it's one of the very basic tools that you're going to use, right? So you're going to have this historical data in year, right? And then this is how many products that you can sell, starting from the television set, radio, and compact disc player. So you can do this boost radio. Okay. Nobody buys CD player anymore. Okay. It's obsolete. Even radio. Okay. All right. So for the this one should be the sale for the television. Okay, you can see that is pretty much constant and steady. All right. So when you see this, time series will be very good. Okay, so you see something like this, you will not think of regression at all, because you know for sure that it's pretty much constant. Okay, so if you ask the forecast, for example, you ask the people who work in consumer products, such as P&G, Unilever, and you want to look at their forecast, or maybe a diaper, or tissue paper, or whatever they produce, you see that their forecast pretty much is going to be steady, because people don't change their behavior over time. If they buy, they're going to keep buying it because they have to use it. All right, so that's what happened. Okay, so in consumer products, this is what you expect to see. Okay. But if you're in the big trend, okay, you introduce the new products, okay, you may see this upward trend, right? So many products that you can think of, you can see that, oh, there's still the upward trend, Okay, but you see some product that has this downward trend also. Okay, so you want to see if there's any trend involved in your forecast. Okay. So of course, every company wants this to go up and up and up, right? But if your forecast of the company start to seeing this, then you are in big trouble. Okay. The obvious scenario you can think of now is if you consider the oil price. You see that if you look at the volume of gasoline that's sold in Thailand over maybe the past year, you can see that it should go up because the oil price has gone down. You don't care much about your cost. Okay, but if you ask the shop who installed the LPG tank, you can see that their business, it used to grow a lot, right? But once the oil price dropped, they're not doing so good. You ask your friend to buy a car, you want to use the LPG or NGV, they will say, no way. The cost is not that much different. Right? So that's another scenario. Okay? So that's an interesting case also. Okay? But and consider things in the market. The oil price is probably going to stay probably below 60 for quite a while. Okay? If you ask me, that's just my opinion. Okay? Because there's no reason that the oil price should go up. Supply is way over the demand, and now we have so many alternative energy. Okay, so we see what's going to happen, which is good. Okay, because most cars are still using the gasoline, but in 10 years you may see more electric car. Okay, we find out. Because if you read about it, what's good about electric car is the parts that make electric car. Then you can get rid of so many parts in your car. That because you don't use gasoline to spin the engine anymore. Okay, so we find out if Tesla is gonna do well or not. Okay? That's another thing to see in the future. Okay? But this is reality. You see that in this one, the trend is perfect. Okay, you can see this is straight line. Okay, but in real life, you see that they're gonna go up and down like this. Okay, so that's what we see. But at the end, you see that there's still upward trend. Okay, that's an upward trend. Okay. At the end, we want to see to draw this trend line. Okay, we call this word trend line. Okay. It's not going to be perfect, but you can see what's going to happen with the trend. Okay? And when you see the trend, of course, if you have to make a forecast in the future, of course, it's probably going to go up, but go up where? Okay? So that's what we want to find out. And trend is always going to be your friend. Okay? The best friend ever whenever you want to do the forecasting. Unless something happens. Okay. And the difference between the trend line, this trend line, and the actual data, we call it the error. So you can see that there's a gap between this blue dot and this brown line. Okay, because that's error of the first data point, and this gap is the error. Okay. So when you do regression, the concept of regression is basically trying to find the line that make the sum of all the error minimum. Right? So that's the concept of regression. But of course we talk more about it later. Okay. So we talk about the forecast error, right? Okay. So when we do the forecast error, okay, I'll let you take note first. I don't want to explain. It's going to be too far. You just write what you want to do first. Okay, I'll stop for now. Then I explain more once you write whatever you want to write. Okay, this is time index. This is time period 1. This is historical data. And this little t we call it subscript. Okay, so it means it's the error in period t. Okay. Try to explain what I write. That's why it's basically if I keep talking and you're taking notes, basically you won't listen to me, you just keep taking notes.